Hello everybody. Welcome to another video. Today I'm gonna be reacting to a video called "Ranking Every U.S. President from Worst to Best," and it's not gonna be me ranking. I'm just gonna react to somebody's ranking. So let's start. You have strong opinions against any of the rankings. Instead of adding an angry comment, write that opinion on a piece of paper, put the paper in your pants, wear those pants, and walk into the sea. Just kidding, please feel free to put any comments and educate me on the topic and thank you. Buchanan, I agree 100%. He is the absolute worst US president. Now let's see. That's exactly what he did. He just did nothing, ignoring what was gonna happen. Oversimplified. I love oversimplified. If you want, I can put a link in the description about oversimplified because this guy is just hilarious. I love watching all of his videos, especially the Henry VIII video, and it was great. All of the videos are great. Absolutely nothing. Believed that the biggest crisis of the nation would solve itself. To be fair, the Civil War was inevitable. He was like me on unpaid internship, just that he was the most important person in the country. Exactly. Out of these four guys, I would put Trump the highest, then Obama, and then Bush and Biden in last because of because of obvious reasons. And I'm putting Trump the highest. I know some of you might hate him, like most of you probably hate him, but I like this guy and I think he's a lot better than the two Democrats over here. And I think he's just a little better than Bush. Johnson. Undid mostly everything that Lincoln achieved. Honestly, that's impressive. Congress kept slapping him around for his tenure. Imagine him handling the Civil War. Frightening, isn't it? Yeah, that's exactly what I said in my ranking video. Frankly. Remember maybe not last video, but the video I was reacting, I'm not reacting, I was making my presidential tier list. I mentioned Mr. Beat, and this is his song about Franklin Pierce. So, yeah. Son was the cat lady before taking office. Wife never wanted him to run for president, caused bleeding Kansas. Got liver cirrhosis due to drinking too much. There is nothing left to do but get drunk. Yeah, that's exact. I know he said that. Dazzlingly incompetent, wanted to keep everyone happy but just made things worse. Went through a lot of trauma during the presidency. I agree. Might be more fondly remembered if he was president at another time. Yeah, he went through a lot of trauma even before his presidency. His son was killed. He was drinking too much, but I don't think that gave him trauma. And also, his vice president died over a month after the inauguration. Wilson, but do I? No, I disagree. I would put Harding under Wilson because Wilson. Uh, I just put him higher than Harding because Harding, everybody knows he was bad, and Will I just put him higher because of the League of Nations and the Treaty of Versailles. You have a racist problem? No, my racism works fine. Yeah, he was very racist, really racist. Of course, I will not join World War One if I'm elected. Immediately joins the World War One when elected. Exactly. That's why I don't like the issue with you that you have a good God complex. The only issue is that you find it too complex to understand that I am God. Mr. President, how do you think the 14 points you have suggested will guarantee peace? The only peace I care about is my Nobel Peace Prize. But you never got a Nobel Peace Prize. This presidency stuff is so simple, even my wife can handle it. Yes, when he got a stroke, his wife Edith, it was his second wife, she took on the president's role. Was exceptionally racist, pranked the whole country by declaring for the war, celebrated in Europe. Yes, we even have a street named after him right here in my city, but I'm not gonna tell you the name because I just don't want to. Final verdict: I want this. I want the smoke the committee to decide 1919 Nobel Prize. Well, he never got the Nobel Prize because actually I don't know why. Actually he could have gotten the Peace Prize, but he didn't. And Teddy Roosevelt, Jimmy Carter, and Obama got the Peace Prize. This is Harding, and I think he's too high. He should be under Wilson. Harding, when getting elected in 1940, being oh being remembered today, being a great guy, not being adept enough to be a president, being a good friend, being easily influenced, was just a chill guy honestly, causing the teapot scandal. Yeah, that's why he was bad, and also he almost ruined the economy. He just worsened it, and that's why the country was poor in the 1920s. That's why it's called Roaring Twenties. I don't know if that's the cause of why they call it Roaring Twenties, but he caused the country to be poor. Also cheated on his wife. Yes, that's another reason why I don't like him. Because who would cheat on his wife if he wasn't like a normal guy? Like I would never do that to my wife if I had a wife. But I'm too young to have a wife. At least he has courage. Lazy Dude was not a great thinker, but I'm from Ohio, tough white boy. And I don't know if he really said that. Maybe he did, but I have no clue. You have been a great friend, though. Can't always fake it until you make it. Hmm. Tyler and Fillmore, yeah, I think they're almost. I think they're the same. Tyler at 37. Yes, I put Fillmore over Tyler. Oh, that's that movie. I forgot. I don't even know the name, but I've seen clips of this movie. I don't remember what's it called. Both were VPs, the war heroic presidents. Both became presidents after an untimely death of their presidents, but did not get renominated. Both were not very good during the Confederacy. Yes, he looks he's very similar to Alec Baldwin with his face. No, I think they put him low only because of the Watergate. Actually, I do think that the Watergate was like really like look at this. Is that Counter Strike the game? Tell me in the comments because I don't know if that's Counter Strike or something. I just don't know. I don't think that's Counter Strike. No, that's not Counter Strike. Was in fact the crook. Not only knew about Watergate, but hid the evidence, declared and lost the war on drugs, eased relations with China, also withdraw troops from Vietnam, and this is the reason why I don't think he was bad. And I think Hoover was worse than Nixon because of the depression. Worse than the Great Depression, awful treatment of the war veterans. Fallout New Vegas was awesome, not very good. Yeah, but he was a terrible president, but a good man. I've read somewhere that he once went to China and he saved some people in a burning building. I don't know if that's true, but I've read that somewhere. Harrison and Taylor. Yeah, I also think, just like Fillmore and Tyler, I think they're also almost the same because their presidencies were short and they did not have time to prove themselves good or bad. That's not quite big, and that's just a year and 4 months and 5 days. So that much is not quite big. If you think that's quite big, then how big is 12 years? Jimmy, Jimmy Carter, I think that's a okay spot for him, but I would put him lower. Bad words alert. But I do agree, it's hard not to vote for him with that smile. Look at that smile. No, you look at that smile. Fine, it pains me to say that he was not good. I agree, he wasn't good, but he was a great man when he was out of office. Presidency was the worst part of his overall reputation. Exactly, I agree. And I want to say that my grandparents from my father's side were both Republicans. Actually, my grandma was a Democrat, but and she voted for Jimmy Carter in 1976, and my grandfather voted for Ford. So that was the only time that they voted against each other. Gerald Ford, that's a stupid thing to say, in my opinion. And I think that was unnecessary for Nixon, to be honest. That's a good looking photo of him. So that proof that aging is real. Like damn, look at that pic. The Nixon pardon was maybe necessary to move forward. Never won a national election. Yeah, he was never elected vice president or president, but he would have been elected president if he won in 1976. And if I would be old enough to vote at the time, I would vote for him. Although even if his term wasn't that great. Forget Trump, he's the real accidental president. Trump isn't an accidental president. Yeah, he has the same haircut in every portrait and the photo. 1897, 1837 founded the Democratic Party. Not much more to say. Yeah, and I'm glad that he didn't put the guy didn't put Jackson under him because I think Jackson was better than Van Buren, but I don't see him anywhere yet. Mr. Arthur. Oh, that's Ben Shapiro. Tell me in the comments which hairstyle do you prefer, Van Buren's or Chester Arthur's beard? I mean, mustache and those side beards, whatever that's called. Because I think I prefer actually no, I prefer Van Buren's side hairs. Mustache strong enough to question my preferences. He ended the spoils system. The Chinese Exclusion Act did suck and tarnish a decent term. It looks like what happens when you stay up till 3 in the morning. So once I actually a few nights ago I stayed up till 1 in the morning, but that's not bad. Oh wait, he did do that. Bad word alert. Arguably the most forgettable president ever. Sorry, Ben. No, I disagree. I think the most forgettable president is either William Henry Harrison or Chester Arthur, because he was just like a dude who never wanted to be president, and Harrison was only president for a month. So yeah, that's not Hayes. That's Harrison again. And now there's Hayes. That's true. Tilden would have won if like Hayes didn't get that one vote. And he won by just one vote. Had to end Reconstruction. To be fair, Tilden would have done no better. Fraud shadowed his whole presidency. Was more of a caretaker of the country than a president. I think he's pretty average when he's a president. So was Grant. Grant is the most average U.S. president in my opinion. John Adams in 25, I think that's too low. I think he should be higher, just because he was a great man. Versus Alien. Yeah, yeah. The Aliens Assassination Act was his worst mistake. And I didn't know he had a hair behind him, but he did have a powdered wig, so and it was common at the time. Okay, enough of that. Fantastic founding father, not a fantastic president, did avoid war with France. Only the Sedition Act, though. First evidence that being president is just different gravy. Mm. McKinley. Why did you declare war on the Philippines? Wait. Why did you put so much emphasis on the gold standard? Did God also told you to did God also tell you to select Roosevelt as your president? Very religious. Yes, he was very religious. Sometimes his values interfered with his decisions. Made Teddy his VP to reduce his political influence. Were gangbusters. Yeah, I think it was great that he chose Teddy as his running mate because Teddy was the coolest guy. He's in my opinion he's the coolest president in American history, but not the best. Why did he always look so serious? Yeah, I agree. Harding, and Andrew Johnson always have that face that like I'm gonna kill you or something. George Bush. Well, that was super stupid of him to do that. When true politician backpedaled on his promise, he was cornered by the debt and the Democratic Congress, won the Gulf War, and had shrunk foreign affairs. For a while, I thought George W. Bush ran for 3 terms. No, it was Garfield. James, this is Charles. I am a lifelong fan of the Republican Party. My efforts are the reasons you are the president. Hence, hence I want the job. I will even travel for what? Will even travel to Paris for the same. Who also know, please. Please get lost. Alright, chump, you made the biggest mistake of your life. If you seen that by lightning, yeah, Guto was a really big fan of Garfield. Actually, he wasn't a fan of just Garfield, but also Blaine and some other guys. And there was a scene in Death by Lightning that he and Chester Arthur became like friends, but I don't think that really happened. I think that was just the movie. Like on being a good person as a politician, strike 2 making his schedule visible to all public, strike 3 trusting his doctor. What's with the E at the end? I just don't know. President with the most untapped potential. Yeah, I wonder if he would have been like in the top 5, maybe top 10 presidents if he survived the 1885. Maybe, or maybe he would be like just like Nixon. First he was good, and then later he commits a crime and was bad. Andrew Jackson, I think that's too high. Another bad word, but that's true. And what is that guy? Why was the guy beating himself? Unless Jackson was invisible. And Jackson experience kept the national debt at zero. Was a man of the common people. Unless that common person was a Native American. Too scared to give one. Yeah, the worst thing, in my opinion, he did when he was president was that Indian Removal Act, but he adopted 3 Native American boys. So I don't understand why did he do that. His staff. Yeah, he really preferred being Chief Justice than president because he just really enjoyed being the Chief Justice. More trust busting than Roosevelt, fell out with Roosevelt, and that led to Wilson's appointment. just didn't like politics. He did not get stuck in a bathtub. Well, people say it's true, but there is no evidence really that that really happened. So that story might have been fake, but I like to think it was real. So maybe it was real, but maybe it could have been fake. Quincy Adams, I think that's too low for him. Clay and Adams after Bad Word Up Jack was quite ahead of his time. Unfairly screwed Jackson. Now that takes courage. He was the most intelligent president. Yeah, he had like 175 IQ. And the second he had 175 IQ, was the smartest president in American history. And the second smartest was Thomas Jefferson and JFK. They had 160 IQ. So Adams was 15 IQ higher than both of them. Both of them. He was visionary but lacked political sport. Grover Cleveland. When asked about his scandal in 1873, yeah, he did have a scandal with I don't remember the name of the woman, but he did make her pregnant, and she gave birth to a boy. They call him. I don't know who called him Oscar, but his middle name was Folsom, and Folsom is Cleveland's wife's Frances's last name, and she was like 10 when that happened. But Cleveland was friends with his wife's father. I don't remember his name. So Mr. Cleveland, when asked about having surgery on July 1st, 1893, I didn't know about that. He did. Well, he did lose weight at the end of his life, so maybe that. And, great at keeping secrets and vetoes, okay at keeping country out of the Great Depression, horrible at keeping a healthy age gap in marriage. Yes, when he and his wife Frances were married, he was 49 and she was 21. So he could have been her father. So that's kind of sick. And also they had kids later, and when he was like in his 60s, would be more regarded if he handled the depression better. Bill Clinton. I think that's a little bit. Yes, you did have sexual relations with that woman. These allegations are true. Strong economic growth, NAFTA, and welfare reform. Whole scandal thing 1994 crime bill. Create a president of lower impeachment thresholds. Grover Cleveland's second term, I guess. I don't know how Trump took everything from Cleveland. LBJ Johnson addresses the Gulf of Tonkin attack. Another bad word. I'm sorry if somebody doesn't like bad words. It doesn't bother me that much, but it might bother somebody. So I'm sorry for the bad words, but I can't do anything about that. Civil Rights Act did worsen the Vietnam War and caused national division. Great Society, Society program. That's not him on the. That guy doesn't look like him at all. Brilliant at home, tragic at abroad. James Monroe. Won all but on EV in 1820. I don't know what the hell that is. Era of good feelings. To be honest, he didn't have much to do. Just a chill vibes guy. Actually, I would put him over Madison because Madison declared war on Britain in the first place, and but he won. But I still put Monroe over him. Canada border before 1812, Canada border after 1812. I don't even see the difference. So maybe there is a difference, but he's just trying to be funny, or maybe there is like a small difference. Help us in the War of 1812. Declared the war in the first place. Yeah, exactly. Paved the way to the era of good feelings. Good founding father, good president. Reagan. No, I think he should be higher. I know some people say he's overrated because of Reaganomics, but I think Reaganomics was okay and he was a great man. Who was that? Oh, I thought that was Bob Dylan. Maybe it is him. Reaganomics and tax cuts. See, that's green, so that means it was okay. Was a great communicator, tripled the national debt. Or maybe that's why people think he wasn't that good. Highly polarizing president. James K. Polk. If James Polk became a two-term president. Manifest Diaz native lands did complete all his election promises. The wars created slavery tension. Have have a good look at the last good president until Lincoln. Yeah, he was the only good president until Lincoln. Because Taylor wasn't good. He was just there for a year and a half, doing nothing. Fillmore bad, Pierce bad, actually Pierce horrible, and Buchanan even more horrible. So wait, what did he say? I think I have blood on my hands. First time I heard this, because I've seen this video already, but I want to show my reaction to you. I thought he said that he has like platinum on his hands, but yes, he has blood on his hands. Yes, the bombing were needed to end the war, and he had no choice. Marshall Plan for the recovery of Europe faced post-war challenges. Important choice to choose him as the VP in 1944. Because if Roosevelt ran for the fourth term with Henry Wallace, his vice president, then maybe like he'll do a stupid thing and we wouldn't and the war wouldn't end probably like till 1950. Grant. No, I think that's way too high for him because he wasn't that good of a president. Battle of Fort, Battle of Fort what? Fort Donelson, and that's Mr. Beast. Battle of Belmont, Battle of Fort Henry, Battle of Shiloh, Vicksburg, Chattanooga, first term, second term, hiring his friends in the cabinet. Yes, this is a very high pick and shows my bias, but I really like the man and what he did for the Civil War and the tragedy of Lincoln's passing. I think my bias for his personality has thrown any rational reasoning. Oh well. John F. Kennedy, the random sequence of images and nothing suspicious here. Yeah, the first time I've seen this, I didn't understand this. Oh, George Bush. I think that was he was the director of the CIA. Yes, Central Intelligence Agency over there. Great leader, highly charismatic and lovable, handled the Cuban missile crisis well. Bay of Pigs invasion. Yeah, Bay of Pigs invasion was a big mistake, but I really like the guy. I really like Kennedy, and his speeches were awesome. Again, a very high potential president. Calvin Coolidge. No, I think he should be lower just because I know he was a cool guy, great man, but the guy ranks him high just because he was cool. But I put him under Polk and the other guys. So I put him at like number 12, 12 best. Why waste time saying that word when few words do trick? Underrated reduced his power. I agree on the underrated part. I don't know about the few word trick. He was just a cool guy. I agree because he has Coolidge in his name, but that's not only because of that. Jefferson, number six is a perfect spot for him. Pretty much just Congress deciding who should be president after the 1800 election. Couldn't the Democratic Republicans decide on giving Burr a vote less? Everybody who's watching this, I'm sorry if you don't like me reading it out loud, and I know you can read, but I'm just reading it in case you can't see. I won't stick around. Please skip around 40s in the video. No, I'm just gonna let this go. Let's see a great job, though the Louisiana Purchase and all for a measly $15 million. Cut the federal debt, the decreased government side. That government, I know what's that supposed to mean. So I'm just gonna say gov, decreased gov size and spending. I guess that means government. I'm not sure. Also repealed the Aliens and Sedation Act by John Adams that owns slaves. So yeah, when I first did a presidential ranking, this was before I made this channel. I I put Jefferson as my second favorite president, Lincoln as first, Washington as third under Jefferson. Now that I know that he owned slaves, I put him a little lower. So Don't worry, this is not a Mr. Beast progress bar. It is all uniform progress. By the way, what happened to Dog Pack? He just dipped. I don't understand it. France helped the US fight in the War of Independence, which caused a huge debt on France, and Jefferson then bought Louisiana to pay for the debt US partly caused. Damn. So so France helped them in the war, and they gave him Louisiana, and he paid back the debt from the uh, help from France in the war, but also got Louisiana. That's winner. FDR, no, 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 no. I know you might say he was good, he was great. No, no, no. He was overrated. And I can't hear anything. That's a bad word. I think that's the fifth or sixth bad word in the video. Sorry. Yes, the New Deal was a bit overrated. I agree. Actually, I don't know if I can agree. Yes, the treatment of the Japanese nationals was awful, and I agree on that. But the US simply needed him at the time. I also agree on that. Being a good president runs in the Roosevelt family. Spoilers. Well, we already know that Teddy Roosevelt's gonna be higher than him. Eisenhower. Another bad word. No way he could lose after such a banger campaign song. I agree, I love that song. Handled the Korean War and Brown v. Board of Education, Interstate Highways. What a great run for of presidents after Harding to Johnson. Theodore Roosevelt. That had to take Roosevelt sleeping, for if he had been awake, there would have been a fight. These are the words of Woodrow Wilson's vice president, Thomas Marshall, because he was the vice president when Roosevelt died. I'm sorry if I'm speaking too fast or too slow. Roosevelt once killed 12 people in a gunfight, and then he loaded his gun. Wow. And see that's why I think Roosevelt is the coolest president in American history. Calvin Coolidge doesn't even compare to him. Someone took Roosevelt's daughter's virginity. Terrified, he returned it. Roosevelt's dog plays catch with a bowling ball. Champions are the breakfast of Theodore Roosevelt. His way to a man's heart with Roosevelt's fist. Theodore Roosevelt spices up his steaks with pepper spray. Roosevelt doesn't need to shave, his beard is scared to grow. Yeah, he never has a beard in any of his pictures. He only had a beard when he was in college. Created the National Park System, trust busted and initiated the Panama Canal, did directly cause Wilson to be elected. The manliest man that ever manned. I agree. So who's number two? Oh, I guess he put both of the guys in number one. I guess. I guess. Yeah, I would also put Washington in second place because he owned slaves. Like the foundation of presidency didn't want to be a king for life, was against politics. I'm sorry if I'm ruining the moment for you guys, but I'm just reading for if somebody doesn't see very well. Father of the Nation. Emancipation Proclamation. A very astute politician, champion of human liberty. Well, his head is actually pretty similar to Lincoln's. So Lincoln had bigger ears. Pretty similar, but he also has big ears. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.